Hi there. In this video I'm going to be troubleshooting a Xiaomi Smart Lightstrip, LED light strip that is basically not turning on at all anymore. This LED right here is not showing up. Let me plug it in. In theory I still have a warranty on this, but they told me I need to send everything to service to be checked. Even though this is not really repairable, nothing in here can be opened up and put back together. There are no screws on anything. It's yeah, just a thingy. I'm covering a code in there. So yeah, there's that. Or are there any screws? Maybe, yeah, could be some screws in this area right here. But anyway, the problem with it is that I don't want to send the light strip that plugs into here, which is attached all around a TV. And yeah, from my daughter. Nice. So I don't want to peel that off and then stick it on again once they send me a replacement. So I decided, you know what, let me see what is wrong with this thing. Usually no LEDs means either blown fuse or no power being given to the device. What I can check first, I could potentially try to open this again. I think in there it might have a screw, and potentially in here on the other side, if I press enough, there might appear an indentation in there. But I have a gut feeling that this thing is the trouble. So I searched a little bit. I have one of these which more or less fits nicely in here. It's from a set of them from, I think, a charger or something. Anyway, this gives 24 volts at 1 amp, so 24 watts total. And I have a power supply from PicTech. I'm not afraid to use this thing. I need to connect to it with crocodile connectors. Make sure I don't short anything, because that would end up in a bad day for me. So there's that. And I need to keep track of the polarity. We need to have positive inside, negative outside, and try to power this thing on. If it starts, it's this thing, in which case I just need to find a compatible power brick for it, which shouldn't be that difficult, and I will give away the warranty, at least for the moment. Use it with a compatible one. If that one also blows up, then I am going to bite the bullet and send it into warranty, but I don't want to peel it off from the TV. It's really annoying that for a LED strip you need to peel it off to send it to warranty, although it's a clear fault that this thing is not turning on. So it's clearly something to do with these fellows, not the rest of the colorful LEDs, but whatever. So yeah, let me start by connecting this thing. Yeah, I could also directly measure this thing. Let me do that first. It should be fairly quicker, but yeah. So it's plugged in, turned on, and now I just need to connect to it. And now we are ready to connect to it. So negative on the outside. Yeah, I should have used some clamps, but too late now. Positive on the inside. I cannot put this, it's too thick in there. Yeah, this isn't giving anything. Nope. Let's see on AC. Nah, this thing isn't working. We are not getting any sort of voltage out of the or 0.4 AC. Yikes. So anyway, this is fully dead. Getting ready to give it 24 volts 1 amp with the PicTech. Yes, this is not really a good idea like I'm doing it here. I could short stuff. Let's hope I don't do that. Okay, checked before the polarity just to make sure that I got it right. We have a blue light. Yep, our smoking gun is the charger. Okay, shut it off. Now I kind of just need a new charger, don't I? Now this is one of those rare moments when being a hoarder somewhat pays off. I have this from the charger of a really old camera. Yes, this had the same polarity written on it, but the charger gives only 12 volts, so not enough. I cannot use that directly, but I have this from a Canon printer. So this thing gives us 24 volt, 1.2 amps. That means a tiny bit more amps than the required, which is a good thing because this will pull only as much amps as it needs. Voltage it is important, and the amps need to be equal or higher to what we are replacing. That's freaking awesome. Problem is that obviously this was meant to connect inside the printer. Yes, it's fully encased, doesn't open up, so it's fully safe to use. This I think was meant to be a replaceable part in that particular printer somehow, so it's weird. Or they had an off-the-shelf one that they used in many printer models. That could also be true. Problem is, why does it have 3 wires? So now I kind of need to power it on, measure those right there, or maybe some of them need to be connected together for this thing to power on. We'll see about that. And then I will cut half of this, solder it, and we have our power brick, and I can use this thing because this is behind the TV. You cannot see it. It will just sit there. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's bigger. Who cares? And I don't want to cut this wire. I could simply do that, but in case this breaks, I can send it then to warranty the whole thing. I still have more than 1 year of warranty, I think. So yeah, but I don't want to deal with warranty now once again, as I told you. And this doesn't even end here. I have this from a really old radio that was fully damaged and got recycled because it wasn't repairable anymore. And obviously it's exactly the perfect connection for this thingy. So now let me measure things. And yes, something else. This gives DC. We don't need AC. So this gives DC. It's exactly the good stuff. Let me see if I can poke in there without shorting anything. So I'm getting 7 volts on that one. 7 also on this one. Between these two, I'm getting nothing. Well, that was weird. Why am I getting 7 volts? Is that some kind of standby? Perfect, 7 volts. Yes, negative because I'm measuring in reverse, but searching for the part number, I found a picture online with somebody measuring one of not exactly the same thing, but almost. So first pin is positive and the last two ones are connected together as negative. So I'm guessing that connecting these two where I wasn't getting a voltage between them tells the printer, hey, you know what, I think you should turn on. Let's do that. Try. If we blow it up, well, it is what it is. Two variants now. Either works or we hear a short pop and maybe some smoke. So let me turn on the switch. No pop. Seven volts. What the actual hell? Maybe it's reversed, or maybe it should be the first with this one. I have no freaking clue. Again, works or we hear a pop. No pop yet. -24 volts, actually minus 24 volts. That's interesting. But yeah, we have 24 volts. The one online was also showing minus 24 volts, so the single one is a negative, not a positive. You connect the other two to get the positive. Okay, so it seems to be good. We found how to connect this thing. Okay, next step, solder the wires. I'm expecting this has the negative marked on it. I should check that. Checked with multimeter and I was correct. This is the negative, the one with a line on it. So now let's put some more heat shrink tube also on the smaller wires. I want double layer of heat shrink tube. I'm not going to go that much into detail for soldering. I'm not a good teacher for this kind of stuff because I don't really do it properly myself, so yeah. As for example, I have the tin already on my leads and I'm not adding it in here while soldering, so many say that that's the wrong way to do it, but anyway, it's done. Soldered, off with soldering iron, pull the heat shrink, warm it up. Oh no, crap, forgot, this was off, damn it. Ay. This guy with soldering iron is freaking awesome. I will link it in the description if you want to have a look. Really fast to heat up and works really freaking well, and it's really powerful, so a pleasure to work with. Oh come on, and now I'm going to overheat the wire. That's a bad solder, and that is shrinking already on me because I overheated the wire already. Ah, crap. This is what happens when you are not careful and don't make sure that you are actually ready for the soldering that you are supposed to be doing. I need a bit more solder now. Anyway, it is what it is, we need to get it done. Yeah, finally, done. Heat shrink in place, drill some holes, put some zip ties in. Now I just need to fully tighten them. And our wires should not be able to move from here, so it's a bit of stress relief or whatever you want to call it, so we are not pulling on the connector itself, on anything, on the solder joint or anything like that. I just need to cut these things and we are done. You can see I'm moving this and it's not moving deeper in there. And yeah, we reused this, and reused the cable, and now we should have a working LED strip. Now let's see, will it power on or we release the magic smoke? So let's plug it in and give it a bell. And it's freaking on. Woohoo! Yeah, waiting I think for the connection. Now it's connected. Yeah, we saved a bunch of parts and replace this thingy, but you can obviously buy it based on product number or voltage, and search to have a similar barrel type. Cool. Now let me connect everything and make sure that it works not only on the workbench. Connected into the light strip, it's absolutely perfectly working. I'm leaving it here just so I can keep my eye on it for a bit, and then behind the TV and we should be done. Run this for a few days, always on. Barely you know that it's working, so I don't think it has even 30 degrees. This thing has about the same temperature as this, so yeah, this is done. I can put all the cables back in place and it's finished. And this is the situation for a good few months already. This is literally double-sided taped to the back of the TV. It's working absolutely perfectly. It has an automation. At night it stays on, during the days it's off. So it's a night light basically at the moment, but it's working perfectly. So yeah, that's what I try to do most, reuse old stuff and not buy into new stuff as much as I can. So hope this video helps you with yours. In case it doesn't have power at all, it's worth a try to change the power adapter. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Check out my other videos, and as always, see you in the next one. Bye.